Hello, welcome to Calls with your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready, it all starts now.
Hi, hello, bestie. Oh, this is going to be a fun one for me. Which, hey, let's be real, the fun ones for me that I get the most into are the ones that tend to do the best anyways. So you're going to like it too. Today, we're talking about a question I get asked all the freaking time, which is about like my own personal kink journey, how I discovered this about myself, and how it's led to where I am today in the kink scene, and just really what's going on there. So let's do this fucking thing. I'm excited. So my very first introduction ever to kink was through literotica. When I was like, just discovering porn and sexuality, I was kind of scared shitless, honestly, to watch porn. Like, I'd heard so many negative things about it, first of all, but also just, like, I had this, a sibling roommate situation, and it just wasn't really the smartest option for me to be watching porn, when I could maybe get caught with it. So instead, I would read a lot of literotica, which I, would have to highly recommend for my very imaginative subs out there. It's so great because you get to envision what you want to have happen. There's so much of it out there that's like so readily available. So there's like a literotica website, but there's like the Wattpad app is just filthy with literotica too. I'm sure there are so many, smutty audiobooks too. There's a vast amount of content out there that is literotica. And so that's kind of the reason why I leaned more towards literotica. But what's interesting with literotica is it's a lot easier on that side of things to kind of slip down a new path, maybe inadvertently or unintentionally. And what I mean by that is when you're watching porn, you have to be pretty explicit with like what you're searching for. Like, okay, I want to see gay. Oh my god, I've searched porn before. I swear to god, I've searched porn before. But you have to be very explicit. Like, you'd have to look up, like group play cuckold rimming to like see that. So you have to know and like get it down to like a few keywords, like exactly what it is you're looking for to find it. And yeah, there are recommended videos under that might be a little bit outside of what you had initially searched for. But there's also those little screen grabs. So like before you click on any video, you're gonna have a really good sense of what it is. And it's hard for there to really be many surprises in that, especially with the length of most porn videos. They tend to be really short. So yeah, there just tends to not be a ton of surprises. Like, you tend to know what you're gonna get, and that's why you're deciding to watch that video. But with literotica, oh my, that is not the case. Because there are so many, like, these can be long stories, chapters on chapters. And when there's storytelling and a narrative to it, and when you're invested in, like, you've, read those first couple chapters, whenever things start getting a little bit out of your comfort zone and what you're maybe ordinarily used to, it's a lot easier to overlook that because you're invested in the plot. You want to know what's going to happen next. So why wouldn't you? So this is kind of like that. Where, yeah, I remember the very first time I, read the word daddy in a sexual context. And with a lot of these kink things, you really don't know it's a kink until you kind of experience it in that context. And, you can kind of automatically with like a gut feeling, or, however you react to it once you actually hear it. And maybe that's just my human design, because my human design, I'm a generator. So my strategy is to like, I respond to external stimuli. So this might be different for you if you're just a different human than me. But for me, whenever I am exposed to something, that is when I know how I feel about it, because I'll just get like a gut, immediate reaction feeling to it whenever it happens. So basically, smutty reading is what got me to where I am today and led me down a deep, deep rabbit hole of, ooh, what's this kink? What's that kink? Because it's such an easy little gateway into there. And for us little neurodiverges with ADHD, or, whatever you got, if one of your symptoms is hyperfixation on new topics, like if whenever you find a new hobby, it kind of becomes all consuming and you like really pour into it for, weeks or months, or, just hours of intense research, that is a really fun hole to go down, haha, hole, with kinks and discovering new kinks, just because there's so many out there. The options are really limitless. Like if you think you've learned about all the kinks, you haven't. You've barely scratched the surface. And that just keeps getting revealed to me. The longer I am in the lifestyle, the more I think I know, the less you know, kind of thing. So it's really easy to just discover new facets of this side of the world, of this side of the internet, this side of sexuality, in a different way than some hobbies might be, or some jobs. Because on the other side of that, if you are someone who gets hyperfixated on new topics and new things, whenever you master something, it's really easy to get just suddenly bored with it, because, oh, I've already learned everything that I can learn. I know more than the guy who invented this thing. I'm bored. I'm done with it. And that's just never going to be the case with kink, because there's always more to learn and uncover. So it just has been a very easy interest to maintain over my lifetime, because there's always a new facet to be explored, and it's pretty all-consuming. So started with literotica, and then over the course of several years, I would just find kind of one kink at a time to or sometimes multiple at a time, to hyper explore and really just get into one thing. And one thing I learned in that process, because I was doing a lot of this, as many beginner subs or just kinksters do, I was doing a lot of this over the internet, with like online relationships, with FetLife, with if anyone remembers the Kik app, that was a pretty crucial part of my beginning kink journey. I don't even know if it's around anymore. There was so much wild shit that happened there. Omegle also comes to mind, if you know what that is. By the way, me saying these, like, this is not a referral. I don't recommend you go to Omegle and Kik and find things. I'm just literally sharing, this is how it happened for me. And honestly, Omegle and Kik were probably not the ways to do it. I had some really negative experiences going down that path, but it was part of my path, and that's what this episode is sharing what my path was. So, you gotta sometimes making mistakes and learning the hard way is, how some of these lessons can happen. But you're here because that's not how life works for you. You're here because you're here to have a mentor to hold your hand and guide you the right way. So, hey, I'd recommend learning from my mistakes here. That's why I'm sharing them with you, so that you can, get where you're going with more peace and ease and pleasure, and just more positively, in a way that's going to be for your highest good and the highest good of all. So the reason why I think I started on the online space, and I think a lot of beginner kinksters can get stuck in this online dating realm with it, is shame. It's as simple as shame. Like, I was raised in a highly religious Roman Catholic family environment, so there was a lot of just embedded shame about sex at all, really. Like, even, there was shame around sex outside of marriage. Like, I used to go to Catholic school, and I remember literally, like some of my not the roommates, some of my classmates in, middle school and high school, like wearing purity rings and like promising to save themselves and just, all that kind of stuff, which if that's your path and the thing that you're doing, I have absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think, I'm glad you found your thing, and if that's your thing, more power to you. But the reality of my upbringing and my experience with that was, a lot of shame and holier than thou-ness, and like, this is the right and only way and everything else is a wrong sin mentality. And that's really where, the trouble lies for many of us. But yeah, I was raised in that was very much the environment that I was in. So exploring kink online and, more anonymously just felt like the right, safe, like that just felt like the option where it felt safe for me to explore and not actually, if I had this fear that if I was, and I think that it was a right fear for the environment that I was in. I had to be able to first get myself out of that environment to get comfortable with being a kinky person, openly with everybody. Because in that environment, it was a little bit of a, if anyone finds out, you're found out, and shame on you. Everyone's gonna know your thing, kind of world. And it was just, being a kid sucks. Don't recommend being a kid. Do not recommend being a kid, or just raising your kids in a way like that. So that was my upbringing and what I had come from. So inevitably out of that, I felt a lot of fear around indulging any of this within like the built-in social circles, like the people I had, gone to these schools with and was raised around. So it was a lot of making those mistakes online, finally meeting some of those online people in person and trying to do it the safe, best possible way. And ultimately a lot of kind of wasting time kicking around in that, online space where I felt so stuck. I was able to get what I wanted over text, it felt like. But all the while I was, that's really not what I was craving. What I was really craving and wanting was this lovely in-person connection, and for my real relationship to have this amazing kink dynamic that could, where I could openly express my desires and my wants and fulfill that for others too, and, just find a true, strong fit. So I'm going to take a little pause there. We'll come back. We'll chat about it.
Just a little break to share that if you are loving this podcast and my content, if I'm someone you could see yourself working with, but you're wanting more direct support for your specific situation, I do offer mentorship. It's personalized to you, private video or phone calls with me, so you can chat about your situation and figure out a solution that's going to work for you. You can visit my website. It is kinkybestie.com/mentorships to see what's available and to book in your spot on my calendar. It's kinky with a Y at the end and bestie with an IE at the end. The link will be in the show notes, so you can check it out there. Back to the show.
Okay, we're back. We're talking about my kink journey. Yay. So, started with literotica, moved on to a lot of online dating kind of relationship things that weren't actually relationships because they were just talking to someone over a computer screen sometimes. And there's a lot of pain with that, because the anonymity goes both ways. Like, you feel anonymous and safe, but, so are the people on the other side, and you don't always know what's going on with them. Like, you could be chatting with someone who's married and not available for you at all. Or, there's just not a whole lot of investment with it either. Like, you're investing a lot of your time, but you're not really making commitments to each other because it's over the internet. It's not real life. So even if it feels real for you and you're making real commitments, there's just no real way to know that, the person you're talking to is actually, making those same commitments to you. So another thing that can happen with online dating that I just, caution you against it is you can just be ghosted too, like invest a lot of emotional time and energy and, just whatever with someone and have them just totally disappear because it's the internet. They're just a little, user. So stuff like that can and does happening and can be pretty heartbreaking whenever you put the stake into it. So I'd recommend not doing that. I'd recommend to start with what you want. So if what you're wanting and your ultimate goal of all of this is to meet and have an in-person relationship, that is what I would urge you to go do and figure out how to do. And of course, you don't have to start by, day one meeting them in person and throwing down. But maybe if you're more comfortable in that online space, maybe it's starting on like a local kink dating app where there's the possibility and the interest from the other parties that you're talking to meet in real life and just communicating that, that's your not only your end goal, but that's your goal now and what you're wanting now. Like not at the end of like a 6 month long online digital relationship to eventually move in and do stuff, but just getting real about what it is that you actually want and doing those things now. The other, I guess I could just give you the other little cliff notes of like kink journey from day one to now. I've been in this lifestyle for over 5 years. I've experienced, I want to say, all of the kinks, but of course I haven't experienced all of them. I've gone from, maybe I'll give you some specific examples. I think I first started just with DDLG, eventually started exploring pet play after that, and had some interest in like piss play, kind of good fun stuff going along with that. That kind of transitioned into an ABDL interest. And then I kind of took like a pause where I was doing, vanilla shit for a while and figuring my stuff out. Because, and that's part of the reason why I'm here and doing this business now and helping others in this space. I kind of thought that I had to compromise and that, oh my God, there's no way that anyone's going to be on board with all this freaky shit that I am. Or like, oh no, the people that are into this freaky shit that I am don't have the same personal growth goals or path and aren't wanting the relationship in the same way. And like, no, you can have both. You can have it all. And I want you to have that. So talk to me. Let's get that for you. And I have that now and I'm so grateful. But yeah, I had to get out of that mindset of lack first and just getting into a mindset of doing it and having it and being it now anyways. So in my current partnership with my dom, we've been together for how long? I think almost 2 years ago I would have met him. Maybe a few months from 2 years ago. And I think from our first date we had a dating period of maybe like 3 or 4 months before committing to each other. And he started as a little vanilla baby who had not experienced a lot and has just totally bloomed and developed into the most beautiful, dominant, sexual, kinky creature. And it has just been such a treat to be a part of his path. The way I see it, I'm not an educator to him. Like, I've never sat him down and said, here's how you need to be dominant. Instead, what I've done and how I've kind of met him is just, and I brought this out in him, just really openly expressing what my desires are in more of a what I want out of things way instead of a directional way. Like, I'm not really telling him, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Instead I'm saying things like, I want to experience this, and this is how I'm feeling right now. And then together we're able to, collaboratively figure that out together. It wasn't perfect or seamless right out the gate, but over time it just is so beautiful how we've evolved together, and I've discovered new kinks and desires being with him. Same thing for him as well, and it just has been really beautiful. So these days I'm much more into, we do some like swinging and we have interest in group play stuff, which is fun. We have a swing club we like to attend sometimes. Also, just even part of our play whenever it's just the two of us involves this fantasy of other parties too. So we have like toys and tools and ways that we do that together. Um, and right now I am like a total fucking service sub. So I am so consumed with pleasing my partner and just being the best sub I can be for him. And he's definitely more on the pleasure dom side of things, like interested in, my personal growth and development and meeting my desires. Neither of us, like, I'm not a masochist, he's not a sadist, so there's not a lot of like pain or traditional, bondage as part of our dynamic. It's definitely more of the power play piece and the servicing of each other element. And now obviously I having just been in this space for so long and having such a deep understanding of what this path is like and how I've gotten these results, and also just I have such a deep interest in deep investment in this community and compassion for other subs in this situation and wanting them to get these amazing results too. Like, I want everyone to just have their kinky dream life because it's really possible. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. You can have the kinky shit that you want. It can be part of your real fucking life. And yeah, I just want that so badly for everybody. So now I'm a mentor for other submissives. I tend to mentor submissives who are neurodivergent like myself, but it's definitely not a requirement to working with me. I have a lot of people who have some ADHD symptoms but aren't diagnosed, or maybe who don't even, see themselves as undiagnosed or anything like that. They're just humans who relate with what I've got to say and like the tools that I provide and want to chat with me about it. So I do that as well. You can work with me. I have, one-on-one mentorship offers, and there's also, I have a course dropping soon that would have been in the ad for the show just now about designing your kinky dream life on your own. If you are more in this little scaredy cat place of not really ready or wanting to one-on-one talk with someone, or if that just doesn't fit your lifestyle, like the one-on-one call format, oh my god, go get on my course instead, and I will teach you how to make your shit happen for you. It's gonna be so cool. I'm teaching everything I know. It's really comprehensive, and the first round of this, which launches soon, there's a little bit of user it's driven by who's in this first round because with every module coming out, I'll be asking for where you're stuck, how you're comprehending the material, so that I can more customize like future material for that, but also like address if there are hurdles coming up along the way, so that you can get those results that you need to. So all that aside, that is who I am as a kinkster now. I fucking love my life. It's been such a treat being able to, I really started in such a place of shame and hiding, like just hiding. It felt like everyone I knew it was a lie, like they didn't know about this big part of me. So the way my life is set up now, I'm very publicly, openly who I am and how I am, not only in my relationship and my partnership, but also, my close interpersonal relationships, my friendships, and, openly online with my business as well. It just has been really embracing this part of myself has been so healing too. I've never felt more myself, like never. And just the more I share and the more I learn about this and in this community, like just the more and more me I feel. And I'm so fucking grateful for the community, and I'm so glad that I get to be a part of it and support you on your journey too. I think that's so special. One last little piece that I wanted to wrap this up with is that, 5 years ago, I would not have expected me to be where I am now with my kink journey. Like, growth and change is a very real part of the human experience, especially if you are, neurodivergent and you tend to, hop from new hobby to new hobby. It's really easy to have an impulse negative reaction to something, but I'll say this is part of the reason why you got to be careful along this journey to not only not shame others, but also not shaming yourself, and how that kind of ties in. So like what I mean by that is I remember being earlier on in my kink journey, and I don't even know exactly what I would have said because it's so long ago and my short-term memory is wild. But, I remember having negative reactions to like piss play and diaper play and maybe even talking down on it. And the thing is, a lot of that stuff, like, we're not born with that. We're not, it doesn't, we don't come out thinking that someone's desires are gross or weird. All of that stuff is learned. So whenever you notice those feelings come up, or those knee-jerk reactions, first of all, try to if this is all you take away from this episode, this should be what you take away from this episode. It's that censor the judgment. Because those feelings are okay. Like, we are humans, we are going to judge other people sometimes. But what you want to be really careful about is actually saying that to others, and creating or continuing on this path of shame, because the more you say it, the more you feel it, and it just becomes more and more part of your belief. So whenever you notice those feelings come up, start with like an internal reflection process and just be really, 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 really careful about, just be kind to others. Just be kind to others, because you never know where you're gonna end up either. And even if you don't end up with that desire, like, they don't deserve to have to live with your shame that maybe isn't yours. You just are carrying it and holding on to it from some of the other people that have been a part of your life and put that on to you too. So really question where this shit is coming from, because it's probably not yours. And it's okay if you do have, judgy feels towards others, or even towards yourself whenever new kinks come up and it surprises you. And, self-shame, like, it's a part of life. It's an uncomfortable emotion, but it's going to happen. And you gotta name it to claim it, kind of thing, and recognize that emotion for what it is to be able to then work through the shame. And because if you have the shame but you're just not willing to acknowledge it, like, the shame's still there. The shame doesn't go away just because you're covering your eyes and saying, oh no, I don't have shame around that. Like, that's just not how things work. So that is the biggest universal truth I can share, is like, you can grow and change. And as you grow and change, you're probably going to come up against new facets of yourself that maybe in the past, or even currently as you're discovering those parts, you have some negative reaction to or some judgment towards. And it's kind of hard to admit that defeat. And it's a little bit of an ego hit that, like, oh, this thing that you want to judge someone for, now you are interested in. But the cost of missing out on getting to experience this facet of yourself that's going to be, that could be so pleasurable and enjoyable, it's a much bigger cost to pay than like any temporary ego hit of, like, temporary shame. So that's my 2 cents on why judgment is not only important for, like, compassion of others and their experience, but also, you gotta be careful about your own beliefs as you're going through this process too, and discovering all the new little shadow hidden bits and desires of yourself. There's some uncomfortable moments, so continue the kindness to others so that whenever it comes up for you, you can be kind to yourself as well. Okay. This is such a lovely episode. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, dear ones.
Thank you so much for joining me this episode. You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.